Since the dawn of time, the human story is one of increasing consumption in a battle with nature. Yet if we win this battle, we may find ourselves on the losing side. And despite a doomsday clock apparently counting down, we live in a time and culture that encourages everything and everyone to just keep moving faster. Consumerism is a globalized religion. We worship the god of quantity that thrives on our emotional voids. Western civilization casually overproduces pollution, deceived into believing it has no cost. Modern global supply chains are placing growing demands on our energy consumption, from transnational corporations' balance sheets to the individuals running a household's daily needs, rapidly raising global temperatures. There are moments when history develops transparency, when change arrives in a violent rush, and while anthropogenic climate change is now inevitably upon us, pre-industrial societies had developed renewable energy for centuries through wind and water mills, but we have upscaled from this to now this. To meet the needs of our modernised world, 21st century renewable energy is now on an industrial scale that is truly breathtaking. Here in the wet tropics of far north Queensland, this rapid global push for renewable energy was welcomed by conservationists, business leaders and the wider community who accepted the science of climate change and the existential threat it posed to our region. A region of exceptional beauty with superlative scenic features, highlighted by extensive sweeping forest vistas, wild rivers, waterfalls, rugged gorges and coastal scenery. In an Australian context, the wet tropics, although it only covers 0.2% of the Australian landmass, contains 30% of the marsupials, 60% of the bats, 25% of rodents, 40% of birds, 30% of frogs, 20% of reptiles, 60% of butterflies, 65% of ferns, 21% of cycads, 37% of conifers, 30% of orchids and 18% of Australia's vascular plant species. It is therefore of great scientific interest and of fundamental importance to conservation. In 1988, almost 900,000 square hectares of the wet tropics was declared a World Heritage Area. This natural global asset is worth over $2.6 billion in economic value to the region, alongside natural values estimated at over $3 billion. The actual amount of climate change we experience in our region will depend on how many greenhouse gases we continue to produce across the globe. Without a swift transition to renewable energy, we know temperatures in all areas of the wet tropics region will become hotter. The heat waves will be more frequent, severe and last longer. These increase in temperatures will have a negative impact on all flora and fauna, including those living in the Great Barrier Reef and our waterways. In 2018, Mount Emerald became the largest wind farm in Queensland, with 53 turbines generating 180 megawatts of clean energy. As a conservationist, I was proud to be the first journalist allowed on site, reporting to many ABC listeners who had concerns over the wind farm's environmental impacts and clearly explained how the benefits far outweighed any negative impacts.